Hey, what's up, Ridge students? Man, it feels like it's been forever since I've seen you, at least in person. I've seen some of y'all on social media, which is cool that we have technology just to connect. But I miss you all so much. Courtney and I miss you guys. We're excited to get back to the norm, whenever that may be. Just want to let y'all know too that baby Rylan is doing great. She is sleeping some nights she doesn't really sleep at all. Courtney and I have kind of been up and down, but hey, she's awesome. We love her so much, and we're excited that we will get to introduce her to y'all in person for the first time ever. Maybe in 2025, something like that. 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Who knows? With everything going on, it could be then. It could be a couple months. You know, we have no clue, but we are excited for y'all to meet her. So let me ask you this: have you ever heard of phobias before? So a phobia is something, is fearing something. So for instance, you know, I may have a fear of spiders, or you may have a fear of darkness. So that would be a phobia. So I've got a list here of a few different celebrity phobias that are pretty funny. So Kristen Bell. Kristen Bell has a phobia of wet, shriveled up fingers. You know, when you get out of the water and your fingers are all shriveled up. Orlando Bloom, he has a phobia of pigs. Not sure why, but he does. Oprah has a phobia of chewed gum. Matthew McConaughey has a phobia of revolving doors and tunnels. For whatever reason, he does. So some of these, you know, are pretty funny, right? But the truth is that fear is a huge motivator in life. But, you know, it's not exactly a good motivator. So here's an example. I would say that fear sells. I would say that fear gets votes. And I would say that fear boosts local TV news ratings. So here's an example of fear selling. Hey, your family is in danger, but if you buy our product, we will be sure your family will be safe. So if I heard that, I'm like, you know, I'm scared. What's going to go on with my family? Sure, I'll buy your product, right? So here's another example. Hey, your computer has a virus, but if you buy our product, you give us your credit card information, we'll be sure to take care of that for you. Hey, my computer's fixing to blow up. I'm going to go and buy that product. Or, hey, fear gets votes. Hey, my opponent's going to take your money, he's going to take your land, he's going to take all your freedom. So don't vote for him, vote for me. Okay, if I heard that, I'm like, okay, sure, I'm going to vote for that guy. Because I'm going to fear that I'm not going to have any money, I'm not going to have any land, I'm not going to have any freedom. And lastly, I would say this: fear boosts local TV news ratings. So, a new danger for your family. Details at 11. So if I'm watching the news and I heard that, I would immediately think, oh my gosh, like my family's in danger. I'm fearing that, right? So I'm going to go and watch the news at 11. Or, you know, right now, the pandemic that we're in with COVID-19, you know, we find ourselves just scrolling through social media or watching the news to figure out what's the latest, like what's going on. Should I be fearful, you know, for my life? Should I be fearful for my family? You know, am I even going to be able to eat it? There's like no food anywhere. You know, everyone is taking up all the things that we need. So it's like I'm fearing right now. So fear motivates us to do something. It's going to motivate me to go to the grocery store and get the things that I need because I'm fearful that I'm not going to be able to have the essentials. You know, and these are some pretty scary things that we face, right? And these are genuinely terrifying and they are scary. But we see all throughout the Bible, all over and over again, that hey, fear not. We are told by God to fear not. Hey, don't be afraid. Have no fear. Take heart and don't worry or be afraid. But see, even through that, the Bible's never calling your fears ignorant or irrational. The Bible, it gives situations where your fears are very legitimate. And then it says, but hey, don't be afraid, right? Don't be afraid. So Psalms 27, it says this: The Lord is my light and my salvation, so why should I be afraid? The Lord is my fortress, protecting me from danger, so why should I tremble? When evil people come to devour me, when my enemies and foes attack me, they will stumble and fall. Though a mighty army surrounds me, my heart will not be afraid. Even if I'm attacked, I will remain confident. Psalms 46, it says this. It says that God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear. Though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. So here, like, these are situations where things are bad. And yet it says, hey, even if the grounds fall around me, hey, even if things go south in my life, or even if we are in a nationwide pandemic, no matter what happens, we are to trust in the name of the Lord our God. Even if. That's where faith comes in. Even if we don't know what's next, we have faith that we just have to trust in God. So there's a story in the Bible in Mark chapter 4 where there's this storm that's taking place. Jesus is out in the waters with his disciples fishing, hanging out, and there's this storm that comes, and Jesus is actually asleep during the storm. His disciples are freaking out, and listen what happens. Verse 37, Mark chapter 4, 37, it says, "But soon a fierce storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat, and it began to fill with water. Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion." Hey, at least he had a cushion, right? "The disciples woke him up, shouting, 'Teacher, don't you care that we are going to drown?' When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, 'Silence, be still.' Suddenly the wind stopped and there was a great calm. Then he asked his disciples, 'Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?' The disciples were absolutely terrified. 'Who is this man?' they asked each other. 'Even the wind and waves obey him.'" Man, like that right there, that's our God, right? He can silence even the storms of the sea, and he can silence the storms in our life. So here in this story, we see that there's a storm at sea, right? And there's these experienced sailors that know that, like, things are fixing to go down. We could die. And then Jesus speaks peace into the storm. And let me just say this, that if you are struggling right now with fear of the unknown, fear of maybe things that are pertaining to COVID-19, things that may be going on with your family, having fear of whatever it may be. There are all different things that we fear. If you have fear right now, or you are struggling with anxiety, this message isn't like aiming at you, just like throwing rocks at you, saying that you're crazy for having fear. You know, I'm not saying today that hey, if you struggle with worry or you struggle with stress, that you are a bad person. I'm not saying that because the truth is that people don't just wake up in the mornings and think, hey, you know what, today I'm going to struggle with fear. I want to struggle with anxiety. I want to struggle with worry. You know, people don't just wake up to do that. And I want to say this. I want you to be very careful. If you are someone who doesn't struggle with these things, I want you to be very careful with ridiculing other people's fears, because people don't just wake up and choose fear. So I want to ask you today, what are you afraid of? Like what's going on in your life that you are afraid of right now? And I want to say this, that Jesus, he's not ridiculing your fears, but yet he's inviting you to know him. And see, I could tell you, hey, don't be afraid. And I will, and I would. Hey, don't be afraid, yes. But see, I'm not the one who can calm the storms. I'm not the one who can speak peace over your life and everything just stop. It's Jesus who can do that. And what's really cool is right before Jesus went to the cross, Jesus said something to his disciples, and I think it applies directly to us today. John 14:27, it says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Don't let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. So how do we move on past our fears? See, if we're going to defeat fear in our lives, we first have to know Jesus. We have to have that relationship with him. And if we know him more, if we get to know him more through spending time with him and praying and reading his word, our fears and anxiety and stress and worry become weaker and weaker and weaker. See, I want to say something that I hear a lot of people saying, and maybe you said this, and I know actually I have said this, but I begin to kind of wrestle with this, and it's this, that God's never going to give you anything more than you can handle. I've said that. Maybe you've said that. And the more that I've studied the Word of God, I tend to find that not being as true as I once thought it was. See, because God will absolutely give you and me more than we can handle, but he's never going to give us more than he can handle. See, because as a follower of Jesus, it's no longer us relying on our strength, but it's us relying on his strength. And through relying on his strength, we can overcome the things that we once would have never been able to overcome. But it's only through Jesus Christ. And I want to say this, if your Bible has been sitting on the shelf or it's been sitting by your nightstand and you've not been reading it, you're actually not using the greatest gift, the greatest weapon that we have been given against fear and against stress and against worry. I want you to take the scriptures that I'm fixing to read, a few more, and I want you to apply them to your life. I want you to pray through them. If you're battling with fear and stress and anxiety and worry and just need peace, these scriptures are supposed to bring peace to us, because Jesus is the one who calms the storm by speaking peace. See, we are to read his word, and we are to obey it. And see, here's the thing, is that you have to start following to keep following. See, you have to start following Jesus in order to keep following him. 1 John 4:18, it says that there's no fear in love. But perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. There's no fear in love. We receive joy and peace by first trusting in God. If you have been following along with our devotion, that I think it was day one, that hey, trusting in the Lord, when we start there, it brings peace to us. It brings joy to us, even in the midst of the storm. Here's a few more verses and we'll be done. Take these verses, apply them to your life, pray through them, write them down, put them on a piece of paper where you can remember, where you'll see them. Psalms 56:3. When I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. Put my trust in Jesus. 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. Isaiah 12:2. Says, surely God is my salvation. He's my rock. He's my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. The Lord himself is my strength and my defense. He has become my salvation. I'm gonna reread Psalms 56:3. When I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. Life's Church, which is a big church in America. Craig Crochelle is the pastor. He put this up on social media. He says, fear is contagious, but so are faith, hope, and love. When I'm afraid, I put my trust in you. So I want to challenge you to remember that as a believer, as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, man, we're not to fear. Our faith should be greater than our fear. But there are times when we do fear things, but it's our responsibility to give it to God. to go back and read the promises that He has given us through these few verses that I've given. And there are tons more. Go back and read these. Hey, He's my defense and He's my strength. He's my salvation. He's my rock. So I should not fear. So I want to challenge you. Faith over fear. Faith greater than fear. May we live that out as followers of Jesus. And hey, let's show the world that as believers, we're going to have faith over fear. Let's hashtag that in our social medias. Faith over fear. Faith over fear. I hope this word has been encouraging to you guys. I hope that you will take this and apply it and spend time with God this week. And we will be sure to connect over technology throughout the week and throughout the upcoming weeks. We'll keep y'all updated when we know more and know what the future looks like for us. So y'all stay safe. Remember to wash those hands. Faith over fear. Love you guys.